Does honoring your parents mean giving them unlimited access to your life? Because for many Christians, this becomes one of the deepest sources of guilt. You start creating distance from unhealthy family dynamics. Maybe there's manipulation. Maybe there's criticism. Maybe every interaction creates tension in your marriage. Maybe you've tried and tried and tried to make things better, but nothing changes. And suddenly you're asking, am I dishonoring my parents? But what if we've misunderstood what honor actually means? In this video, we're going to talk about what the Bible really teaches about honoring your parents, whether your boundaries can still be Christlike, and how to discern the difference between love and unlimited access. I'm John, and this is CLEAVE Answers, where we help you navigate difficult family relationships, boundaries, marriage, faith, and healing through both a spiritual and psychological lens. And if you've ever felt stuck between wanting peace and wanting truth, well, you're in the right place. So let's be honest. For many Christians, this commandment feels incredibly confusing when family relationships become painful, because we're told, honor thy father and mother. But what happens when there's manipulation? What happens when every interaction leaves your spouse feeling anxious? What happens when boundaries are ignored? What happens when there's emotional harm, triangulation, criticism, control, chronic disrespect, and even faith being used to pressure you? Now suddenly the commandment feels complicated. And many people live in guilt because they think if I create space, I must be dishonoring them. But what I want to challenge is that assumption, because I don't think honor and unlimited access are the same thing. In fact, I think confusing the two creates enormous suffering in marriages. Let me explain. If honor meant unlimited access, then boundaries themselves would be sinful. And yet, Jesus himself modeled boundaries all throughout Scripture. There were moments that he withdrew, moments he didn't answer accusations, moments he didn't entrust himself to certain people, moments he had to say difficult truths, moments he let people walk away. Even Jesus Christ, who loved perfectly, did not allow every relationship unlimited closeness. Why? Because love without wisdom is not healthy love. And I think many of us unknowingly inherited a family belief system that says, if you love me, you'll always have access. But healthy relationships are built on trust, safety, accountability, mutual respect, and emotional maturity, not entitlement. And this becomes especially important when marriage enters the picture, because Scripture also says, leave father and mother and cleave unto your spouse. That means something. Marriage changes priorities. You are no longer primarily responsible for protecting your parents' emotions. You are now stewarding your marriage, your peace, your children, your emotional and spiritual health. And sometimes hard decisions have to be made. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not advocating for cutting people off casually. We are not anti-reconciliation. We are deeply pro-healing. But reconciliation requires truth, repair, ownership, safety. And if those things are absent, temporary distance can sometimes be an act of wisdom and not dishonor. Because sometimes distance protects love. Sometimes distance prevents resentment. Sometimes distance gives people space to reflect. And sometimes distance is what preserves the possibility of a future relationship. I also think it's important to ask, what does honor actually look like? Because honor does not always mean closeness. Sometimes honor means speaking respectfully. Sometimes honor means not retaliating. Sometimes honor means praying for someone. Sometimes honor means leaving the door cracked open for future healing. And sometimes honor means creating enough distance so that bitterness doesn't take over your heart. The question isn't, how do I keep everyone happy? The question is, how do I love well while also stewarding what God has entrusted to me? Your marriage, your peace, your children, your home. And that requires wisdom and discernment and, honestly, courage. Because sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is stop pretending a relationship is healthier than it actually is. So maybe a better question isn't, am I dishonoring my parents? Maybe the better question is, how do I honor them while also honoring what God has entrusted to me? If this topic resonates with you, I'd strongly encourage you watch our next video. Is no contact biblical? Because in that video, we go much deeper into what Scripture actually says about distance, boundaries, and difficult relationships. I think it will really help connect some of the dots for you. And as always, we're grateful that you're here.